Okay, so we're diving deep into some serious tech today. We're talking Alphabet Inc.'s 2023 Form 10K. Yeah, their annual report. It's not exactly a beach read, but trust me on this one. This thing is a gold mine if you want to understand where the future of tech is headed.
What's so fascinating about this deep dive is we're not just talking about a company. We're talking about like an empire built on information.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Alphabet Inc. It's the mothership, Google, YouTube, and this whole fleet of ventures that are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's even technologically possible.
And you know me, I love getting my hands dirty with this kind of stuff. But don't worry, we've sifted through all 343 pages of this beast, so you don't have to. Consider this your cheat sheet to Alphabet's inner working.
Exactly. It's your express lane
Yeah.
to understanding really one of the most influential forces that are shaping all of our digital lives.
Okay, let's unpack this right off the bat. The founder's letter. It says Google is not a conventional company. We do not intend to become one. And let me tell you, they are not kidding around.
That statement, it's perfect. It's like the perfect encapsulation of Alphabet's DNA. You've got Google services, they're cash cow, right?
Yeah.
And there's Google Cloud, which is like their contender in the whole cloud computing arena. And then there's the other bets. This is where things get really, really interesting.
Yeah, other bets. It's like their experimental playground. They're not afraid to take risks. Instead of just playing it safe, they're making these calculated gambles on technologies that could, like, completely redefine entire industries, even if they seem, a little out there, a little far-fetched today. We're talking self-driving cars with Waymo, pushing the boundaries of life sciences with Verily.
And that right there, that's what sets them apart. They're not just trying to like win the game today.
Yeah.
They're investing in entirely new playing fields for tomorrow.
And speaking of playing fields, let's talk about AI. It's everywhere these days, obviously. But Alphabet, they seem to be building the entire stadium.
It's not even subtle. The report straight up says Alphabet is going all in, like
Yeah.
full scheme ahead. They're transitioning to an AI-first company, and they're applying that across all of their products and services.
Yeah, it's not just like a sprinkle of AI here and there. It's woven into the fabric of everything they do, how we search on Google, those eerily accurate YouTube recommendations. It's like AI is the puppet master behind our entire digital experience.
And they're not just playing catch-up here. They want to dominate. They're aiming to dominate the entire AI game. And their weapon of choice, it's their latest AI model, Gemini.
Gemini. Okay, now we're talking. This is where I geek out.
Gemini. It's a game changer, truly. It's multimodal, meaning it can process information from everywhere. Text, code, images, audio, you name it. It doesn't just understand your words. It understands the nuances of images and sounds.
Okay, so imagine this. You're scrolling through your camera roll, and you can search for, like, that amazing pasta dish we had in Rome just by typing it in. Or picture this. You're in a meeting, your phone's listening, and it whips up this super concise summary with all the key takeaways. That's the power of Gemini.
Exactly. And what's even more remarkable is their commitment to developing AI responsibly.
Absolutely. And they didn't just jump on that bandwagon recently either. They were ahead of the curve. They published their AI principles back in 2018.
Those principles, they're the guiding light.
Yeah.
They guide their entire approach to AI development. They focus on avoiding bias, making sure it's safe, and putting societal benefit first. They understand that with great power comes great responsibility, especially with a technology as transformative as AI.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about AI, and it's obviously a huge part of their future. But let's not forget, right now, Alphabet still makes most of their money the old-fashioned way, advertising.
It's true. Advertising is still their bread and butter. It generated a massive $237.855 billion in revenue in 2023.
Which makes their big push into Google Cloud even more interesting, right? They're going head-to-head with giants like Amazon and Microsoft, trying to carve out their own piece of that lucrative cloud computing pie.
And their strategy is so clear. They're betting big on this idea that in the cloud, it's not just about storage anymore. It's about giving businesses the power of Google-level AI.
So they're not messing around. They've got their Google Cloud offerings all neatly organized into 5 key areas.
Exactly. AI-optimized infrastructure. Then you've got cybersecurity, which is huge right now. Sophisticated databases and analytics, collaboration tools designed for, the future of work. And of course, the heart of it all, their AI platform.
Okay, so they're covering all their bases, but it's a crowded market, right? How are they planning to stand out from all the competition?
Their secret weapon, you guessed it, Gemini. They're integrating Gemini directly into Google Cloud, giving businesses access to these cutting-edge AI capabilities. that other providers just can't match.
So it's like they're giving businesses the keys to Alphabet's AI kingdom.
Exactly. They're banking on the idea that businesses, they're hungry for tools that can unlock the true power of AI. And Alphabet is in a prime position to give them those tools.
It's a smart move. But Google Cloud isn't their only play to diversify that revenue, right? They're also tapping into the power of subscriptions.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like everything has a subscription these days, and YouTube is no exception. YouTube Premium is everywhere. People are happy to shell out a few bucks a month just for that ad-free experience.
Makes sense. It's the Netflixification of everything, right?
Exactly.
And then there are those Google Play Store revenues, all those app downloads and those sneaky little in-app purchases.
Oh, they definitely add up. But if you look closely at the report, it does mention that device sales, particularly their Pixel phones, they haven't been as profitable as they were hoping. It seems that hardware is a tough nut to crack, even for a tech giant like Alphabet.
I can see that. Hardware comes with a unique set of challenges. Manufacturing costs, supply chain issues, fierce competition. And then, on top of it all, the constantly changing whims of consumers. But overall, it's clear that Alphabet is diversifying. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Which is a smart move, considering all the potential risks they face.
Speaking of risks,
Yeah.
this annual report, it's not all sunshine and roses, right? It highlights some pretty significant challenges that could have a real impact on Alphabet's future. Even their other bets, those moonshot projects, they come with their own set of risks.
Oh, absolutely. Investing in those cutting-edge fields, healthcare, life sciences, transportation, it's inherently risky. Those are highly competitive, heavily regulated industries. There's no guarantee that any of these ventures will actually pan out.
It's a gamble for sure. But isn't that what Alphabet is known for? Taking risks, pushing boundaries, sometimes even failing spectacularly.
That's true, but their core businesses, even those that are super successful right now, they're not immune to challenges either.
Right, like their dependence on that advertising revenue. Things are constantly changing in the digital advertising world.
All the time.
You've got reduced ad spending, increased competition, ad blocking technologies. Any of those things could really impact their bottom line.
It's a never-ending game of adaptation. And Alphabet has to stay ahead of the curve if they want to maintain their dominance in advertising. And then there's the whole issue of their international operations.
Right, which come with a whole other set of risks.
A whole other set.
More than half of their revenue comes from outside the U.S., so they're exposed to a whole world of geopolitical and economic uncertainties.
The report talks about how complex it is to operate in a globalized world. It's like navigating this tangled web of regulations. You're dealing with fluctuating exchange rates, trying to adapt to different cultural norms and expectations. It's a constant balancing act.
It's like spinning plates, right? And that's not even considering the potential headaches of political instability. Trade disputes. It sounds like operating globally. It can be lucrative, but it's a minefield.
It definitely comes with its fair share of difficulties. And honestly, all of those challenges, they pale in comparison to the looming threat of regulatory scrutiny.
Ah, yes, the elephant in the room. Their 2023 annual report doesn't shy away from it. All of those legal and regulatory battles they're facing, especially those related to antitrust and data privacy.
And they're smart not to shy away from it. These aren't just minor setbacks, right? These have the potential to reshape Alphabet's entire future.
It sounds serious. So let's dig into these legal challenges, starting with the antitrust front. It seems like the European Commission, especially, has Alphabet in their crosshairs.
The EC has been, they've been watching Google very, very closely for years.
Yeah.
And 2023 was no different. They slapped Google with a $2.4 billion fine for manipulating their shopping search results, basically to favor their own comparison shopping service. And then, on top of that, they hit them with another fine. This one was a whopping $4.3 billion for using their control over Android to stifle competition.
Ouch. Those are some hefty fines. Even for a company as big as Alphabet. That's a lot of money they could have used for those moonshot projects. But the EC isn't the only one concerned about Alphabet's power.
You're right. It's not just them. The U.S. Department of Justice and several state attorneys general, they've also filed antitrust lawsuits against Google.
Really?
Yeah. They're going after Google's dominance in digital advertising technology and their control over the Android ecosystem. They're arguing that those practices stifle innovation and hurt competition.
Wow, so they're facing challenges on multiple fronts. It sounds like they're walking a tightrope, trying to balance their market dominance with all the scrutiny from regulators.
Exactly. And we haven't even touched on data privacy yet. which is a whole other ballgame. But maybe we should save that for after we delve into their financial performance.
Good idea. We've covered a lot of ground already, but we're just getting started with Alphabet's 2023. Stay tuned as we dig into their financials and break down the numbers behind their big bets and the challenges they're up against. All right, so we've talked about their big bets on AI, their moves beyond just advertising, and those regulatory hurdles they're facing. But now, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's look at their 2023 financial performance. What can their Form 10-K actually tell us about how these trends are playing out in their bottom line?
Well, the first thing is this. Their 2023 financials tell a story of growth. We're talking a 9% increase in total revenue, reaching a massive $307.394 billion.
Wow, that's a lot of zeros. It sounds like they're really firing on all cylinders. What exactly is driving this kind of impressive revenue growth?
There are a few key factors at play here. First off, their user base is incredibly loyal, and it just keeps growing across all their platforms. More users usually means more eyeballs on ads, which of course is great news for their advertising revenue. And second, their investments in research and development, those are paying off. They're constantly innovating, coming up with new products and services that people actually want to use.
Right, but they weren't afraid to tighten their belts a bit either, were they? I mean, they made some pretty big headlines with those workforce reductions and office space optimizations. It seemed like everybody in tech was streamlining.
Oh, absolutely. They definitely made some tough decisions when it came to managing costs. Remember back in January 2023 when they announced that workforce reduction? That led to something like $2.1 billion in employee severance and all those related charges. And then there were the $1.8 billion in exit charges related to optimizing their global office space.
Right, right. It was a big deal. It's like they were trying to, trim the fat to stay agile in what was a pretty volatile economic environment. Did it work? Did those cost-cutting measures actually pay off?
Well, if you look at the numbers, their operating income increased by a healthy 13%, reaching $84.293 billion. So yeah, it seems like their strategy of balancing those strategic investments with some serious cost management is working out pretty well for them.
Okay, so more money coming in, less money going out. Sounds like a win-win for Alphabet and, of course, their shareholders. But you mentioned earlier that not all of their revenue streams are created equal.
Exactly, you're right. While their advertising business and Google Cloud are both highly profitable, some areas, like their device sales, those have lower profit margins. Hardware is just a notoriously difficult business, with tight margins and fierce competition.
It's that classic tech dilemma, right? Do you try to win on the hardware side, where the profits can be pretty slim, or do you focus more on the software and services, where the margins tend to be a lot healthier?
It's a tough call. And Alphabet seems to be trying to strike that balance, recognizing that diversification is absolutely key to their long-term success.
Let's dig a little deeper into those specific revenue streams, shall we? You mentioned Google Services and Google Cloud. Can you break down exactly what falls under those umbrellas?
Sure. So Google Services, that's their bread and butter. It's the engine that really drives the entire Alphabet machine. This segment, it includes all those products and services we know and, let's be honest, are probably addicted to. We're talking Google Search, YouTube, Gmail, Google Maps, the whole shebang. It's at the heart of their advertising revenue.
And what about like those YouTube premium subscriptions and the Google Play Store revenues we talked about earlier? Do those fall under that Google Services umbrella too?
Absolutely. Those revenue streams, they fall under the category of, and get this, subscriptions, platforms, and devices within Google Services. It's a mouthful, right? But those areas, they're becoming more and more important as Alphabet tries to decrease their reliance on just advertising revenue and really embrace these new business models.
So Google Services, it's like the reliable cash cow that allows them to make these big bets on the future, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And then on the other hand, you've got Google Cloud, which is their enterprise-focused offering. This is all about providing businesses with the tools they need to compete and thrive in this digital age. We're talking about things like cloud computing infrastructure, super important data analytics tools, collaboration software to keep everyone connected, and seriously robust cybersecurity services, because let's face it, that's more important now than ever before.
And let's not forget their not-so-secret weapon in the cloud market, their AI capabilities. They're really pushing to integrate their cutting-edge AI, especially Gemini, into their Google Cloud offerings. It makes sense. They're trying to attract businesses that are looking for that AI edge.
Exactly, you got it. They're betting that businesses are really eager, even hungry, for tools that'll help them unlock the power of AI. And let's be honest, Alphabet is incredibly well-positioned to actually deliver on that promise. And the numbers seem to back that up. Google Cloud revenue saw a pretty impressive 26% jump in 2023.
Wow, 26%. That's huge. It definitely sounds like Google Cloud is gaining some serious traction and becoming a major player in Alphabet's overall growth strategy.
It really is. It shows that they're able to take their AI expertise and leverage it to gain a competitive advantage in a market that's only getting bigger and more competitive.
Okay, so we've talked about their main revenue streams, their pretty darn impressive financial performance, how they're cutting costs, and their bold investments in those other bets. But there's still this one big piece of the puzzle we haven't really addressed yet. The looming shadow of all that regulatory scrutiny.
Yeah, it's like this ominous background music to their otherwise upbeat financial performance.
Yeah.
We can't just ignore those legal battles, right? As we talked about earlier, they're facing some serious heat from regulators all over the world, especially when it comes to these antitrust issues and those growing data privacy concerns.
Exactly. And these aren't just minor roadblocks they can easily navigate around. We're talking potential game changers here. These legal challenges could force Alphabet to completely rethink their strategies, maybe even restructure entire parts of their business.
Let's unpack those antitrust lawsuits first. The European Commission really seems to have it out for them, don't they? The EC has been going after Google for years. It's nothing new, really,
Yeah.
but 2023 was not a good year for them. Remember that $2.4 billion fine? The one for manipulating their shopping search results to give preferential treatment to their own comparison shopping service.
Oh, yeah, that one made headlines.
And then, like a gut punch, they hit them with another massive fine, a whopping $4.3 billion for using their iron grip on the Android operating system to stifle competition.
Those are some hefty fines. Even for a company as massive as Alphabet, that's got to hurt. I mean, think of all the moonshot projects they could have funded with that money. But it's not just the EC breathing down their necks, is it?
Absolutely not. They're facing a two-front war on this one. In the U.S., the Department of Justice and a bunch of state attorneys general have also filed antitrust lawsuits against Google.
Really? I hadn't heard about those.
They're challenging Google's dominance in the world of digital advertising technology, specifically their stranglehold on the Android ecosystem. They claim it's all about stifling innovation and squashing the competition.
So Alphabet is caught in this legal pincer movement, both at home and abroad. What are the potential consequences here? I mean, what happens if they actually lose these battles?
The fallout could be huge. First off, they'll likely face even more fines, and not just a slap on the wrist either. We're talking about potentially billions of dollars, which would definitely impact their bottom line. But it goes deeper than that.
Yeah.
They might be forced to make some serious changes to how they do business, completely restructuring their operations. We could even see them having to spin off certain divisions or even changing how they design and operate their core products.
So this isn't just about money. It's about fundamentally changing how Alphabet operates. It's a much bigger deal.
Right. These lawsuits could have a ripple effect across the entire tech industry.
And then, of course, there's the whole data privacy issue. That's like a ticking time bomb, not just for Alphabet, but for any tech company that relies on user data.
It is, and it's an increasingly sensitive topic. Data privacy is a big deal to consumers these days, and regulators are finally starting to take notice. People are waking up to the fact that these companies are collecting mountains of data on them, and they're demanding more transparency, more control, and definitely more security.
We've already seen some pretty significant data privacy regulations come into effect, like GDPR in Europe and the California Consumer Privacy Act here in the U.S. These laws are giving individuals more power over their own personal data, and they're imposing some pretty hefty penalties on companies that don't play by the rules.
And those are just the beginning. There are more data privacy regulations on the horizon, which means companies like Alphabet, they're going to have to be incredibly careful and adaptable if they want to stay on the right side of the law. It's a constantly shifting landscape.
So Alphabet is walking this really fine line, trying to balance their data-driven business model with these increasing demands for user privacy.
It's a tough balancing act, and the stakes are incredibly high. Any misstep, like a major data breach or a privacy scandal, could be catastrophic. We're talking about irreparable damage to their reputation and, of course, their bottom line.
Well, that's a sobering thought to end on. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Alphabet's huge bet on AI, their moves to expand beyond advertising, their honestly impressive financial performance in 2023, and, of course, those looming regulatory threats.
It's a company at a crossroads, facing a future filled with possibilities, but also some pretty big question marks.
Their 2023 annual report, it's a glimpse into that future, a future where AI is going to play an even bigger role in our lives, where technology continues to disrupt practically every industry, and where the battles for data privacy and market dominance are only going to get more and more intense.
Alphabet is right in the thick of it all. It's going to be fascinating to see how they navigate these challenges and what the future holds for them.
It certainly will be. That wraps up our deep dive into Alphabet Inc.'s 2023 Form 10K. We hope this has given you a better understanding of the forces shaping this tech giant and the potential implications for the future. As always, thanks for listening.